Thank you, Griffin, for your great introduction to our podcast. I'm Rachel, one of the other co-hosts for the Warmer Planet, Cooler Heads podcast. I wanted to introduce to everyone into how climate change isn't just a far-off idea that'll affect the future generations, but how its effects are definitely something to look at now and how it affects our daily lives. I'm sure everyone's heard about how climate change has severe implications in the world, with an increased extinction rate, decreasing fresh water sources, melting glaciers, whatever. So I'm not here to bore you with the same things that we've all heard about before. There are a lot of localized effects of climate change that really affect how we operate on a daily basis that I feel like not everyone talks about. For example, with the increased air pollution caused by emissions, lung and breathing problems are at an all-time high. If you or those in your family have asthma, be prepared to see increased breathing problems from them as air pollution continues to grow for the next few years. 7 million people worldwide die from air pollution, so don't let yourself be part of the statistics. Probably one of the most direct ways that we're all affected by climate change is how it affects weather patterns. It's no coincidence that we've been hearing more and more news stories about how yet another hurricane has touched base in a coastal area, or how wildfires are ravaging California. Though these just may seem commonplace at this point because of how often they occur, these severe weather events can actually be connected to climate change. With the changes in temperatures in both the atmosphere and the oceans, many abnormal weather patterns have been arising. We see these through dry weather in California, increased rainfall, hurricanes, longer winters, and many other weather events that are out of the ordinary. Many people push these under a rug as maybe next year will be better, maybe this year is just a little bit weird, but that's actually pretty unlikely. People lose their homes from flooding and hurricanes, pay increasing amounts for irrigation in arid areas, and struggle to relocate after natural disasters. You may have gotten lucky recently, but as these abnormal weather events continue to grow, how long can you really stay safe? And this leads me into the next question that people might have floating around their heads. How can we blame these things on climate change? How do we know that this is the cause? That's a very valid question, and that's what I want to bring up. NASA scientists have explored all the possibilities to why we're seeing all these changes in our climate and the environment, and 95% of scientists have concluded that the scientific evidence for the warming of climate change is unequivocal. Straight from the NASA website themselves, here are a few words on why they're very intent on their statement that climate change exists. The current warming trend is of particular significance because most of it's extremely greater than 95% probability to be a result of human activity since the mid-20th century and proceeding at a rate that is unprecedented over decades to millennia. Earth-orbiting satellites and other technological advances have enabled scientists to see the big picture, collecting many different types of information about our planet and its climate on the global scale. This body of data, collected over many years, reveals the signals of a changing climate. The heat-trapping nature of carbon dioxide and other gases was demonstrated in the mid-19th century. Their ability to transfer of the infrared energy through the atmosphere is the scientific basis of many instruments flown by NASA. There is no question that the increased levels of greenhouse gases must cause Earth to warm in response. With all of that said by NASA, it seems to me that scientists are pretty adamant on climate change's existence and severity. What can we do about it? My co-host will go into detail about some pretty interesting ways that you may not be aware of in hopes to mitigate climate change.